You are now listening to Halal Talks.
But when you look at places overseas, like I could give the example of Pakistan, parents will send their smartest kid to become a doctor, the next one to become an engineer and lawyer, and then last on the list is becoming an alim.
Absolutely, you are. It is one of the saddest realities we have in the Muslim world, that the stigma of being an imam being so negative to the point that no one wants to go to study Islamic studies. And unfortunately, that's a result of many years of colonization of the subcontinent and the Middle East, that it was embedded in the people's minds that being an imam or studying Islamic studies is not something prestigious. It's not something financially beneficial. So you're right. The top notch will go to medical school, engineering, law, and then those who did not get accepted anywhere, they'll be okay, I'll just go to Islamic studies. Just go to Sharia school. And look at how that's sad. When you see those people going out and leading the community, religious community, and giving them fatwas, with all love and respect to them. I'm sure they have amazing hearts, many of them, and amazing intentions, but they're not maybe able to relate to people and lift the job of the imam to the highest levels. And that's the reality. Now in America, it's a little bit different. In Southern California, at least, many of those young imams are the brightest and the smartest. And when we provide for them good careers, acceptable financial returns or good salaries, comfortable work environment, then you will attract those bright people to get into becoming imams. For many years, it was a scary thing to be an imam. You're going to have to get paid very low wage, very, very low. I mean, if you looked at the research that came out a few years ago about clergy's salaries, you'll find out in all the other faiths have high clergy salaries, and Islam or Muslims community in America have less than 30% of that.
Wow.
So you have guys who are not getting paid well. They work so many hours, because when you're an imam, you're kind of 24-hour job.
Right.
You get people call you all the time because they have problems with their children, or they have problems with their spouse. You have to lead the prayers. You have to prepare for the khutbahs. You have to prepare for the lectures. There's a lot of work. It's a very demanding job. A full-time job, it's very demanding. And on top of that, your salary is low. On top of that, boards and administrations giving the imams hard times, treating them not in the best way. That was the trend 15, 10, 20 years ago. So not a lot of people wanted to be imams. And then, alhamdulillah, people start realizing that we cannot do that. So now you see masajid giving high salaries for imam, good benefits. So when they retire, they have something to stay on. They have homes, they have retirement plans, they have decent living standards. But and that's why we saw a lot of these young people graduating bachelors in law, or graduating bachelors in computer science, and then go and pursue their Islamic education. And that is amazing. That's something that I'm happy to see, and I would like to see in all the masajid around the world and all the Muslim communities around the world, where we appreciate our imams, so we can have the best of them be our imams.
And I think there also then at that point kind of has to be that balance as well, right? We can't be paying our imams so much.
Absolutely. No, we don't want to do.
So make it a financial
Absolutely.
journey that they might be on, right? Because I think there has to be that kind of that inside goal of why you want to be an imam, to have that imam be the right person for that community too.
Absolutely. That is, I mean, we don't want to fall in the trick of other faith communities where their religious leaders are making millions of dollars.
Those mega churches
and buying like the fanciest cars. And I've seen one time on YouTube some religious person asking his congregation to buy him a plane. Wow. Because God wanted him to fly around and spread the word of God. And actually, these are poor people sitting down in the audience and pitching $20 and $30, and so they can have these religious leaders live in lavish lifestyles. No, definitely that's not what we're asking for. We're asking for the imams to have a comfortable life. Whoever decides to be an imam, they need to know that this is a tough job, and it's meant to be tough, because the worst and the hardest jobs throughout history are the jobs of the prophets.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing their job. Yes, it's not going to be easy. When we are going in their footsteps, it's not going to be easy. So they have that. She should have that expectation that it's not going to be an easy job, and it's not going to. Maybe you can make more money being a doctor or an engineer, but if you choose to be an imam, maybe you'll make less. But not on the other extreme. That's so low that they retire at the age of 65, not knowing where to live and not knowing how to put their kids in college or get their kids to get married. So yes, you're absolutely right. That balance has to be given. And alhamdulillah, I mean, we were able to strike that balance in the past, I would say 5 to 7 years in Southern California. I wrote an article a few years ago after a phenomena that we found a lot of imams, those young, bright imams, are quitting their jobs in the masajid because they get shocked. They were shocked with the demand that the job needs, and sometimes the mistreatment of the board members, or sometimes anything. So the article that I wrote, the crisis of the unmosqued imams in America. You've heard the term unmosqued before?
Yeah.
There's a movie film about it, that people who do not want to go to the masjid. And then we had another crisis, unmosqued imams who don't want to be in that job because they prefer to just go give talks and just go home. They don't have to deal with the aftermath of putting the chairs up, or making sure the masjid is cleaned up, or making sure the lights are off and before they go home. So that we had that trend several years ago when some of these young imams were disturbed by the way they got treated and the amount of work that's required from them in that position. Now, alhamdulillah, things are balancing back again. So many of them are actually taking those jobs, and the boards are realizing that it's good. It's important to give them some free time. They're not there to work 24 hours a day. They're not expected to do all this. They give them vacation time. They give them some time to improve their knowledge and retreat them, to go into retreats, to revive or refresh their minds and hearts.
Because being an imam, from what I've seen, can be also very spiritually draining.
Absolutely.
Because you're serving others the entire time, and you don't get time to yourself to reflect, contemplate, make dhikr, pray. Everything goes in the service of other people.
Right. And I've seen some imams who say I really cannot focus on myself when I'm focusing on the rest, on the community. And because there's a lot of demand, a lot of time that's required from them to do work. Yes, absolutely. At some point it gets spiritually dry, becomes for them. And that work for everyone who works in the Islamic field, by the way. That's board members, volunteers, activists, committee members. I'm a strong advocate for spiritual retreats for activists, spiritual retreats for board members. Because when you have a job to do at the masjid, it really becomes like a job. So you just want to go put the chairs up, put the stage up, call the speaker, order the food, make sure everything's done in order. And then when the lecture is going on, you're busy preparing everything in the back, making sure everything's smooth. Then you lose that spiritual connection to the masjid, and you start becomes like a job for you. Yeah. And that's very dry. That's very...
And I think like a lot of the problems in the Muslim community come from that, because people volunteer and help out the community because they're looking for spiritual upliftment. But then when they do it, they find that it's actually having the opposite effect. Absolutely. So they're like, I'm done with this. I'm just going to go sit in my room and do my spiritual stuff.
And that's in good times. But most of the times they don't even do that. After they volunteer at a masjid and after they volunteer at an organization and they're drained out, they completely retreat. They might been more spiritual before they volunteered. Right. And now they're completely out because they were drained out. They did not expect to see that. So that's why it's extremely important to have those spiritual retreats for volunteers. I always try to do that every Ramadan, to have a qiyam night just for the volunteers. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because they're very tired. Because Ramadan is very tiring for them. They work, they arrange for the iftar, they arrange for the suhoor. but it's very important that we do have this kind of retreat and spiritual revival for our volunteers and administrations and imams as well.
So I think one thing that would be interesting to kind of find out more about was, I think so many times we see the imam as, you know, for most Muslims, it's like, oh, he's the person that does the khutbah on Friday. And then you go away, then you don't see them until next Friday, or maybe you see them on Tuesday or Wednesday when they're leading Isha. But like, what is a day in the life of an imam? Like, what's going on during the other times?
So for me, when I was young, I had that feeling. Okay, and when I start interacting with imams, my teachers, my scholars who sat down with me and taught me everything, when I start spending more time with them, I found out that first of all, most of the time, they're actually more fun than what we see them on the minbar. They actually joke, they laugh, because many of them on the minbar are very serious. Right? On the pulpit, they're giving the talk and they're very serious. Some of them actually yelling, and some of them, but when you actually meet with them, they're actually they're fun to be around them. They joke, they laugh, they have their human nature, okay, and they make mistakes as well. And they get angry sometimes. They say things that are not supposed to be said. They're humans, and that's the best part. Many people actually get disappointed. They expect the imam to be the angel, the perfect human being, and they're not. No one is perfect. So they have their kids, they have their shopping, they have their workouts. I mean, it's yesterday in the past couple of weeks, you saw imams going through mud runs and marathons and stuff like that. It's a lot. It depends on their culture, where they're coming from. Some of them they like just to spend time, sleep at night. Some of them are very active on social media and so so they just have their, if they're able to sneak out and take some time out of their busy day, they're just their normal life. I remember about several years ago, I used to do this nice gathering in my house for all the young imams, who are either just graduated or studying to graduate, and then they come back in the summer to their homes here in Southern California. I used to have that gathering in my house, and it was such an amazing gathering, such amazing, beautiful. They sit down, not talk about work, not talk about anything, just chit chat and talk about things and joke. And so it's in my opinion, they are for the most part nice people. They're amazingly nice people who dedicate their lives to give their to give to the community, especially those who do it when they have better options. Those who do it when they could have gone a more pursue other careers that will give them more financial gain, especially those who can have jobs that are more comfortable, especially those who are volunteering a lot of their times. Those are, for the most part, nice people, and you'll find out that when you meet them.
Yeah, and I think that's what we were hoping to do with this, inshallah, too, is to give these amazing people that are in our Muslim community some humanity as well, right? That they're humans, that you kind of start to understand that, oh, you know what, they also like the Lakers. It's not haram to like the Lakers. It's okay to watch like the basketball game, or right. You know, it's okay that I even might have a chance to gain that type of knowledge when you're able to be more relatable.
Absolutely. To
these types of people, I think.
Absolutely, and that's an amazing benefit that you point out when the imams act like normal and they're not hiding all the time. You start feeling, you know what, they're just like me. And how the Prophet ﷺ was that way. Prophet Muhammad was just that way. When people walk into the masjid from out of town, they did not recognize the Prophet right away. They will ask, who is Muhammad? Because he dressed like everyone, he acted like everyone, and they'll tell him that guy. Now you go to any masjid, the imams is right away, you can spit him out. Biggest turban, biggest beard, and all that. But the Prophet ﷺ was very active in his community, and he actually, one day he walked out from the masjid and the young youth were playing some game, I think with slingshots or something like that, and he actually played with them. He did not tell them, hey, be quiet, what are you doing in front of the masjid? He joined one team and started playing against the other team, and then when the other team got upset, he switched and he went to the other team and played. So Now you see imams playing basketball with the kids, with the youth in the masjid. You see imams going out on a hike with their community. So the more they act that way, you're right. It becomes easier for the average person to see, you know what, I can be like that person. I can get some more knowledge. I can learn, and I can be as religious as that person. Yes.